He is a Secret Service agent, man, at least former. Dan Bongino, of course, also former congressional candidate and frequent guest host here on Mornings on the Mall. Dan, good morning.
Hey, Dano.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, always good to have you, but it saddens me that we have you on to comment on more problems with your former agency. Now, the latest story out of the Secret Service, broken overnight by the Washington Post, says that there are a couple of agents who are now assigned to desk jobs because they rammed their car into security barricades at the White House after drinking at a party nearby. I'm sure you've read the story. What can you tell us about this?
Well, let me get out of the way first, as I told Heather on the phone before that. I know both of these guys, one of them really, really well. And one of them, the one I know well, is probably the best agent I've ever worked with. I'm not attesting to this behavior just now, but he really knew his stuff. He was with me in Afghanistan and Indonesia. But from, the story, from what I'm reading, it's the kind of thing where, what do you say? It's tough to defend him. I don't think he would defend himself at this point. I know how he is. He's a city guy like I am. He's the kind of guy, if he, takes one on the chin, he doesn't sit there and make excuses. I bet he'd be the first one to say, this was a bad mistake. And it looks like, from what I'm reading, and the details are kind of sparse here, that they had some kind of a temporary barricade set up on it looks like the south portion of the White House, from what I'm reading. And he hit it cutting through there. So that, yeah, I mean.
Well, the facts as explained are these. I mean, there was a party nearby. And apparently they came out of this party. The party was a going-away party for the guy who was the longtime spokesman for the Secret Service.
Yeah.
There'd been some drinking going on. They come out. They apparently hear that there is a suspicious package incident at the White House, and they go over and they will go through the security tape, the little plastic tape that had been set up there, and then hit one of the barricades there. And then a supervisor stepped in and said, no, don't give them a sobriety test, just let them go home. That is the big problem here, isn't it? Shouldn't they have undergone a sobriety test?
Well, if you're a police officer on the scene and you see all the indicators, yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to follow protocol. And, it reminds me of when I first got on the job with the New York City Police Department, eons ago. It wasn't uncommon to have this attitude. At least some of the cops did that. You take care of your own. Those days are over, guys. They're over. I mean, with the media and social media and everything like that, and the fact that it wasn't right to begin with, but those days are over. If you see something like that now and you're a cop and it's one of your own, you're going to have to do something. You're probably going to get nailed. And it's obvious with the Secret Service, by the way, one kind of undercurrent theme to this story that, I don't think anybody really reported on yet, is the fact that there are now so many whistleblowers in the Secret Service. I mean, whatever you do, someone's going to call Carol Leonnig at the Post. I mean, they know she's interested, right? I mean, Carol Leonnig, God bless her. She's going to make a career just off the Secret Service these days. She should have a Twitter handle like Carol Leonnig, Washington Post / Secret Service.
Right.
So
but yeah. I mean, you talk about the totality of these stories, though, Dan, and you just spoke at least to the character of one of the people here, and based on your experience with him. The Secret Service used to be known as just such a tight ship, so buttoned up, it was pristine. What is going on? What is different now?
Or was it always this way and we just didn't hear about it?
And we didn't have Carol Leonnig at the Washington Post getting in there.
I don't like the political response. The political response they give you is, oh, well, everything was, it's a temporary lapse and things will fix themselves up. Honestly, guys, there's always been a culture in law enforcement and the military too, where you have a lot of guys who are attracted to the field who are risk takers. We're a testosterone-driven group. It's been kind of a work hard, play hard atmosphere. So I don't want to give you the impression that this is all brand new and this stuff has happened. But as I said to you in the last little piece there, you have to be smarter these days. This isn't the kind of stuff. One, it's illegal, and we don't know they were drinking and driving. I mean, that's just there's a suspicion that was there. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But you got to be smarter about this stuff. There's always going to be sources. There's always going to be social media. And the days of this work hard, play hard, the play hard part is gone. It's over. Just let it go. It's a remnant of the past.
But you're right. It's always been that way. I mean, years ago, I was a cop shop reporter, and I got invited to what they called a choir practice. There was no singing of choirs or hymns at this practice, just a lot of drinking and hard partying. And cops have long had this reputation. They work hard, but boy, when they kick back and they play hard.
Yeah, and it's, there's some of it, Brian, that's a natural stress release. I mean, the job is tough. I don't want to be overly dramatic about it, but it's really tough. I remember being in the 7-5 precinct in East New York, which was a really busy precinct. I mean, they'd have a shooting every other night. It wasn't uncommon. I mean, a couple years before I got there, they had close to 300 people in one precinct involved in shooting incidents. I mean, think about that. The entire city of Baltimore last year only had 200 homicides. We had nearly 300 in one precinct out of 78 in New York. And the guys have to find a way to kind of blow off some steam, and they would go out together, and it was kind of a bonding thing. But, yeah, with the new environment, and one part of it does get under my skin a little bit, though, is the singling out of the Secret Service, not by you guys, but just this general media ecosystem now. This happens in every agency. It's just that the Secret Service gets all the media clicks. You put it on your website, you're going to get a ton of clicks. Yeah. And it seems like, the place is falling apart. But when you look at it and you say, well, the president took how many trips this year and the misses, and they've never had a hangnail on a trip despite all of the massive threats that come into the Secret Service every day. You have to kind of, I'm not saying to disregard any of this or to let it go. I'm just saying you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater either. A lot of really good people over there doing good work.
It's a good point. Dan Bongino, while we've got you, listen, since the last time we spoke, there was an opening, a job opening announced here in the state of Maryland. It looks like Barbara Mikulski not sticking around. A lot of Democrats scrambling for that nomination. Mm-hmm. No Republicans really are emerging from their holes. You were on record last week saying that the RNC, the Republican Party, can't ignore this open seat. This is an opportunity. Yeah. Dan, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, Dan.
It's so funny. I wrote that piece. Crazy how that happens.
It blew up. It blew up on the internet.
Yeah, those, that website, they're really good. They have the ability to blow things up fast. Yeah, I think it's very important that they invest in that open seat, whoever the candidate is. Mm-hmm. I made the point that even though I took a bath in my 2012 race for the U.S. Senate statewide, that a lot of the people who volunteered for me stayed on and never been involved in politics and stayed on and volunteered for Larry Hogan. I'm not saying that led to Larry Hogan's win. Please, I wouldn't give myself that much credit. But I'm also not going to tell you that it was absolutely. I'm not going to tell you that it was irrelevant either. A lot of these people were big players in that race. And point being, you have to invest in blue states. I think this is a golden opportunity for Maryland Republicans to make a big dent in the Dem machine.
Dan, come on. Dan. You know what we're really asking.
Listen, if I announce anything, of course I'll do it on your show. But, I don't I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm kind of sitting here.
Well, you also have some congressional seats that are coming open.
Yeah, I mean, you just had Anthony Brown and the shocker. Supposedly he's going to announce today for the 4th. You have primaries all over the state. And remember, you're going to have a lot of people who are really beaten up in congressional losses as well that may not want to run for their state Senate or delegate seats. So
you're looking at it. You're looking at that Senate race, yes?
Yeah, I think looking at it stage B. I think stage A is open to taking a look at it. And, I'm definitely open to taking a look at it. But it's a tough
Dan Bongino, candidate for U.S. Senate in the state of Maryland.
You heard it here first.
You got it. Breaking news left and right.
Thanks, Dan.
Hey, Dan, thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate it.